All right, so now we get to add the Zentangles. So if you have some pens of different sizes, that helps. I just have a couple different ones. This is like a 1.0, and that one writes like this, so it's a little bit thicker. Pretty similar to a regular Sharpie, but my Sharpie's out. But it's about the same size as a regular Sharpie, okay, you guys, which you totally can use for the whole thing if you want. And then this one is tiny, it's a 1. And then this one should be like a medium. And it's actually pretty thin too, but so really, you could get away with just a thin marker and a Sharpie. If you have like a ballpoint pen, and I don't have one, but if you have like a black fine tip ballpoint pen, that works with a Sharpie. Those two pens would work great for this. So I'm going to start with this section. I'm going to do each of these. Okay, let's just take a minute. So positive and negative space in art. Positive space is what you draw on your paper. Okay, so for this, your letters of your name is the positive space. And whatever surrounds those letters in this piece of art is what's called negative space. Okay, so what we're going to do is we add a color in all of our letters. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add a Zentangle into this section, into this negative space of my E. Okay, that's very thin. The cool thing about Zentangles, I will tell you before we even really get started, is that you don't really have to be an expert to create them. Although I had some students that were really awesome, and I a lot of times would make them do my Zentangles for me, my demonstration Zentangles, which is a big secret. But even though I'm not as good at it as they are, I'm still good. And you know what? The thing is that the cool thing about Zentangles is that because you're creating so much rhythm and pattern in your design and repetition, it kind of disguises anything that might not be exactly the way you want it. And so you're not even really going to notice too much if it's not perfect. Okay, so try not to worry too much about that kind of thing. Just have fun with it. This is so relaxing. It should be relaxing when you're creating Zentangles. It should not be stressful, okay? So, and I'm sure you guys are gonna love it. Okay, so I have my basic lines there. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a double line because I want part of this to stay white. So I'm gonna go along the inside of most of these shapes that I create. These are organic shapes. And we'll also do some geometric shapes in this design. So organic shapes are shapes that can be found in nature, and so they're usually curved. Geometric shapes are shapes that are man-made, and that can be like straight lines, diagonal, horizontal lines, jagged lines. That's called geometric, and these are called organic. I'm a big fan of organic lines, but I'm also going to I want you to use both in this assignment, okay? So now that I have that done, I'm going to switch to my bigger pen, I think. Yeah, I'm going to switch to my bigger pen. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to create these like little things that look similar to what you find in plants, okay? Like on the inside of a lily. And then I'm going to fill in my background space behind that. So once you learn to do these Zentangles, you'll be like doing them in math class, science class. And if your teacher yells at you for it, all you need to say is like, did you know that when you're doodling, you actually retain more information? As long as you're listening while you're doodling. Okay? I'm going to use my thinner pen for the next one, I think. Let's see how this one goes. Oh, I forgot my line anyway. I forgot this one. I just want to go a little bit higher. And I'm going to speed this up so that you guys can see it fast motion, so you don't have to watch me do all of these individually. Okay, so now we're going to do a geometric one, and I'm going to just do it right. I'm going to do it right here. And so what I'm going to start with is doing like a grid. So I'm going to start by creating a grid, and I'm going to kind of follow the shape that I'm in. I'm following the lines of that shape. So I may actually do this one kind of rounded, but it's still a grid. And I'm going to come back and thicken those lines. So when you're creating variety in art, Zentangles are great for the principles of art, by the way, because there's just so many principles of art that are involved, and that's why they look so cool, by the way. Principles of art that are in Zentangles. Repetition, because there's repeating objects, lines, shapes, and pattern, because you're doing a pattern as you're creating the shapes in an organized manner. And then there is even better rhythm, and rhythm is created by combining repetition and pattern and then adding variety. Okay, so variety is actually what makes your Zentangles even cooler looking. And variety is just, you can change the thickness of your lines. So some lines are thick and some are thin. Also just the contrast between a geometric shape and an organic shape also creates variety and looks awesome. What I'm going to do in this one is pretty easy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create concentric boxes that go even, you know, as they get smaller in these boxes that I have. So I'm going to start with my 3, and I'm just going to kind of follow my outline of the shape that I have. Take my time. You'll try to get 3 if you can, but I'm only going to get 2, I think, because my boxes are pretty small. Depends on how big the area that you're working in is. You want a little bit of white to show. Okay, so see, now I have a geometric shape and an organic shape, and I'm just filling in all of these spaces.